Welcome there. In this video I will talk about group of asset, parent of asset, individual and member asset. It's mainly about group of assets and the parent. All of us I think know individual assets. Member assets, it will be related to group of assets. So let's start. First thing, introduction, that in many countries local tax regulations require companies to depreciate assets in a composite. Composite means aggregate form rather than individually for each asset. It means group of assets. You can use a group depreciation feature to set up logical grouping of assets based on regulatory requirements and your own business needs. These logical grouping of assets are called group assets. Group assets depreciation helps you to reduce data entry requirements because you define depreciation parameters at the group asset level rather than at individual asset level. Handle complex transactions for group assets and their member assets. It's like a group of assets for some of same features or assets type or whatever, the same depreciation methods under a group of assets. Group assets is a collection of member assets. Member assets are the individual assets that belong to a group of assets. You can transfer member assets in one or out of group of assets, and transfer member assets between group of assets. The group assets cost is equal to the sum of all the member asset cost. For example, if you have one group of assets with 3 member assets, so the sum of all these member assets cost is a group asset cost. Let's say you work for a major corporate enterprise and your company wants to pull together collections of similar assets to ease financial reporting. You can add many individual assets to the group that were placed in service in different years, but maintain only one depreciation amount for the group. Usually, the Calculate Depreciation process calculates and stores depreciation amount at the group level. What about asset types? First of thing is a group assets. It's an asset containing a collection of member assets. What is the asset type in this case? Group. The other one is member asset. Assets that is a part of a group of assets. What is the assets type in this case? Either capitalized or CIP, capital in process. Third one is individual assets, standalone assets that doesn't belong to a group asset. What is the type? Capitalized, CIP or expensed. The other one is parent assets, and as you know that you can attach the parent assets to individual assets. Later also you can assign the member assets to a group and at the same time to a parent. System allows this. Group of assets contain 2 levels of assets, group and members. Calculate depreciation depending on the options selected in the assets category. There is no such functionality that exists to create higher level than group of assets. So this is the top level, group assets. For about these options, we will talk about this during create the group of assets later during we doing our practice. Group assets functionality contains what? First of thing, group level, that depreciation expense is summarized. Member level, that cost clearing activity is granular, this isn't summarized and still tracked individually. Also, during the creation of the group of assets, you have 2 options: either track member assets or group of assets tracking. We will see it later. Addition or adding, adjusting, retiring, what about assets within the group may produce undesirable results in the depreciation expense calculation at a group level, since that the depreciation expense is summarized. Backdated adjustment, retirement, transfers, adding new assets are events that need to be considered and tested thoroughly with group assets implementation. In some cases, you may find undesirable results during your new addition, adjustment, retirement assets. So you have to take care of this. You have to test it very well in testing instance before do the same in production or broad instance. Straight line depreciation method is rare in group assets and mostly seen within clients that have table method depreciation calculations. You have to keep following point in mind when creating group and member assets. Capitalized and CIB assets can be members of a group assets if they belong to the same corporate book. Sorry, as you know that we have two type of book, either corporate and tax. Carefully evaluate all group assets attributes based on your business requirement before creating group of assets. Once you add members to a group, you cannot update these attributes, which we will see it later. When you define depreciation rules for a group assets, the group assets rules supersede those of the associated member assets. Because of what? Because these member assets under these group assets. When you perform transactions to member, such as addition, adjustment, whatever, a group reclassifications, these transactions are treated as amortized adjustment to the member assets. You cannot perform expense adjustment to group assets. When you retire member assets, it reduces the cost of the group of assets. Therefore, reduces the accumulated depreciation based on retirement option you selected. This is, I think, all of us know this. Whatever, when you make any retirement, whatever, that it will reduce the accumulated depreciation. Application uses group assets date placed in service to determine when a group asset starts depreciating, like individual assets. You cannot update this date once the group assets begins depreciating. Also, all of us know this. You can add member assets with a date placed in service that is different than that of its group assets, but date placed in service, which is DPIS, of the member assets cannot be older than the date placed of service of the group of assets. For example, if the date placed of service for the group is 1st of January 2024, so the DPIS for the assets members must be either the same, which is 1st of January 2024, or after that. But you cannot add any asset member before of this date. In some cases you add asset group and you add member assets and you go navigate to these member assets to adding to this group, but you cannot find this group. In this case, you have to check the date placed in service for the asset member and for the group of assets. If you add member assets with period date placed in service, application treats the member assets addition as an amortized cost adjustment to the group assets from the DPIS of the member asset. When you add CIB member assets to group assets, the application doesn't add the CIB member asset cost to the group assets until the CIB member asset is capitalized. This rule doesn't apply when you allow CIB depreciation option on the create book page, which we will see later during setup our these features to allow the group assets of our corporate book. And also you can add CIB member assets cost to the group assets by selecting depreciation by option group method on the edit category page. You can perform unplanned depreciation of member assets only if you specify tracking method on the create category or edit category page. Tracking method, there are 2 or 3 tracking method, either none or group or member. Also this during setup the group asset. Application stores and tracks the cost at the member assets level and summarizes the cost at group. This is, I think, it's by logic that the cost it will be at asset member or member assets and summarized as a total at the group asset level. Application tracks accumulated depreciation also for the group asset only. This is the point which you must keep it in mind when creating a group and member asset. Enabling the group of assets require 2 steps. First of thing that there is one lookup which is aura fa allow gr. This lookup you have to check this lookup or search for financial generic this lookup and adding book for your lookup code and meaning and save and close. The first thing also is enable group assets at asset book level. For example, if I have 3 books, 4 books, whatever, so in case of you need to enable the group assets, so this is by book. Maybe I enabled it for 1 book, for 2 book, whatever. So you have also to set up this during at the book level. So let's go to navigate to the Oracle to search for aura fa allow gr, and after that we will search or enable these features at our asset book level. Just I'm here in Oracle, just go to setup and the maintenance, select assets and assets lookup, all tasks, and manage fixed assets lookups. Here I think aura fa allow gr. GR means group, and search. After you search it, you will find lookup. You can this aura fa allow group, the meaning, the descriptions, and you have to add here your lookup type, which is means the same name of your desired book. Comment set whatever enabled, start date, end date, meaning the same your asset book, corporate book, description the same. This is the first step to enable asset group of your application. After that, just navigate to the manage asset book, select your asset book and enable the group of assets. Just select your book which you defined in the recently stepped in your lookup code, search and edit. You will go to down, you will find advanced rules. This advanced rule you have to allow group depreciations and allow CIB members, CIB depreciation, allow member tracking. All of this is related to group. If your company needs to add CIB assets to group assets, you have to enable what? CIB member options. Once you enable allow CIB members options and save it, you cannot disable it. If you need to allow CIB members assets to depreciation, enable the allow CIB depreciation option. If you don't enable allow CIB members options, you cannot enable the allow CIB depreciation option. If you want member assets tracked by depreciation book, you have to enable allow member tracking options. Once you enable and disable these options, you cannot disable it. If your company requires member assets to have balancing segment values that are different than the balancing segment value of the group of assets, you have to enable what? Allow intercompany member option. To set tracking options method to allocate group amount, you can only update member assets tracking options during the addition period of the group assets and before assigning a member assets. This is the first of our second step here. Once you enable the lookup by your asset book name, you have to come here and allow this. Depends on your business requirement. Again, some of these options, once you enabled, you cannot disable. Cancel. Done. Let's come back to our scenarios or presentation. Before of this, just I need to define group of assets and the member of assets and try to attach this to this, run depreciation, check the report, check the depreciation amount, all of these cases. This is a part is our practice. Just navigate to the Oracle and again just go to fixed assets. Now I am going to adding what? Let me open Excel sheet. Just Excel. I will group assets. I will define 3 group assets. Group asset 1, group asset 2, group asset 3. This 1 and 2 will be the same features, the same options, everything. This will be in different option and scenarios. It means what? Once we add, and I will add asset members, also I will add 3 asset of members. Asset member 1, 2, 3. So this first 2 asset group will be with the same everything. This is for which purpose? Because once we add these 3 asset member, we can attach these 2 for this first one. After that I can make what? I can change the group of assets of these assets from this to this. And I will try to change the group of assets of this asset member from group of asset 1 to group of assets 3 to show you that the system will not accept this point. Later also I can make I will add these assets with DBIS, which this date place in service. For the date place of service of these assets will be before the date place service of this group of assets, and again we can try to add this to this. During this process you will not find any asset group which is related to this group of assets, because again we said that DBIS must be either equal DBIS of group of assets or after that. First purpose why this will assign to this and will not assign to this, because the options which is enabled for asset group 1 and asset group 2 is not equal than the options of asset group 3. This also you have to take care during you moving or transfers asset members between group assets. So, and also we can define asset member 4 and so on. So let's navigate to Oracle through assets. Go to add assets in spreadsheets, because there is one checkbox. It's not applicable to updated or to allowed in UI, user interface. So until Oracle resolves these issues, which is like a bug, you have to either update it from a spreadsheet or define it from scratch also from spreadsheet. So add assets in a spreadsheet, select the type what group. After we defined our group assets, we will download another spreadsheet for our capitalized, which will be asset member. So group, go download, try to unblock. Okay. The theme format, it will be the format or the Excel sheet of groups. Assets group is not like asset capitalized, is not like CIB and so on. So it's processing, maybe ask you to path your username and password. So I will enter 1 2 3 4 for assets group. I will select post. So once I upload it, I can run direct post message instead of prepare and all of this. So I think group asset 1, group asset 2, group asset 3. Did the descriptions. So 2 and 4. Major and minor categories, I think I download one Excel sheet before. This one I can take copy for all of these things. I can talk about these fields. So copy and come here to enter paste. Yes. In general, that you know what is the categories, what is the cost, date place in service. I put different date place in service because later when you attach the assets member to group assets, the date place in service of asset member must be equal than this date or after. If it's before, you cannot add or attach or assign the asset member to asset groups. Country or locations, all of these things you know. What is about expense, depreciation expense account, which is related to the assigned categories. After that, you will find some of additional fields here, which is related to the parents. First of thing is, I think in DG field or cell. This and this, we will talk about it. First of thing is tracking method. Tracking method, if you open, you have or you will find a lot of tracking methods. Tracking methods allocate group amount. The group depreciation amount is allocated based on depreciation basis of member assets. Reduce excess, distribute excess, or allocate to fully reserved and retired assets can be checked to facilitate treatment of excess depreciation, which would have been allocated to a fully reserved assets hadn't not been fully reserved. But only one option can be taken here. Second one is calculate member asset amount, which is member assets amount is calculated based on the group or member depreciation method. And the depreciation can be summed up to the group level also. The group as well as member assets depreciation are calculated. The third one is none. So I selected two of them is calculate member assets. Some of them is allocate group amount. If you go to left, there are recognize and terminal. This recognize and terminal, which is, if we talk about recognize, there are two rules: don't recognize and immediately when retired. This rule specifies that gain and loss isn't recognized at the time of the retirement. This option applies only to assets that are members of a group assets. First of thing, don't recognize. When you select these options, the application doesn't recognize gain and loss at the time of retirement. For each member assets, the retirement procedure of sale, cost of removal, and retired costs are adjusted with the group reserve. No gain or loss is recognized. Second one is immediately. So when you select these options, the application recognizes gain and loss when the member assets is retired, and the cost and reserve of the retiring asset member is removed from the group. You must first identify that the retiring member assets reserve amount before calculating gain and loss. The reserve amount is usually proportionate of the returning members. Also, the formulas to use to calculate gain and loss equal when you retiring member asset reserve equal member assets cost divided by group asset cost multiply group asset reserve. For the terminal gain and loss, also you will find them both. Don't recognize immediately and recognize. If you select recognize at year end, recognition of the terminal gain or loss is postponed until the last period of the current fiscal year. However, if you add an asset to the group before the end of the current fiscal year, terminal gain and loss is no longer valid. Therefore, the application won't recognize terminal gain or loss. Don't recognize. Application doesn't recognize terminal gain or loss, and the reserve amount remains in the group. In the case of the group, or in this case, the group will have a negative net book value as a NPV in negative. Immediately, application recognize terminal gain or loss immediately in the period when it occurred. That is, the application recognize the terminal gain or loss upon retirement of the last member in the group assets. Okay, so we have to select this very well. Why I selected only for our first two asset group? Because here I select tracking calculate member assets. So in this case I can terminate the asset member. So once I terminate or terminal the system, what will do for terminal, what will do for recognize. So for this both I can make immediately when retired and immediately. The other one is sum member assets amount to group of assets. Some cases you said that the member assets depreciation amount is not summed at group assets. Why? Because you didn't select or you didn't mention here it will be yes. In case of you select no, so all of the assets member depreciation amount, it will not reflected to the group of assets level. But when you select yes, it means if you have group of assets 1 and you assigned 2 asset member 1 and 2, the depreciation amount of the assets member 1 is equal 100, the depreciation amount of the asset member 2 is 100, so the total will be 200, which is reflected to the group of assets. If you select no, it will not reflected at the group of assets. This is the new additional fields when you define a group of assets. Just try to submit to check the status, either error, whatever, this insert field, because there is no row here. Anyway, there is one ID submitted. Just come back here, monitor process to change the status. After that you can post mass addition, because we select the key as new post. In case of you selected new, so you have to navigate to the fixed assets user interface, prepare, change from the key from new to post, again run post mass addition. Select your proper assets book. After that check the status, either error or whatever. Some of errors related to these additional fields you missed to adding to whatever, so you can download the log files and check the status. Here, as you see, is adding succeeded, so the status of the post-mass addition report also must be succeeded, inshallah. Else, either you can download this to see, or you can navigate to the inquiry assets. Just download and try to open. Go to down, you will find it's already added. In case of you take one of them, or just navigate to the assets inquiry, or before assets inquiry, I just need to tell you where is this field. Assets, just assets, and we will select one of them. This is the assets. In case of I need to change financial details, go to down. This checkbox, which you cannot update it, you cannot during adding assets in user interface. This is like bug. The alternative solution through spreadsheet. This is where, in case of just open, go to right, here, sum, where is sum, here, sum, asset amount member to group of assets. Here, it's like reflected here, and so on. This is the assets group we defined. So now we are going to define our assets member. Again, go to here, add assets in spreadsheet, downloaded is capitalized or whatever, and open and define your asset member. So I will properties, unplug, apply, and open it. Yes. And again, post, we can add 4 or 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Description is asset memb 1. 5. Okay. Measure and minor, I will take it from the previous Excel sheet. Because of what? Because in case of you take different categories, you will not define, or you cannot assign this to this. Because of what? Because it's different category. The member assets categories is different than asset group categories. But I will change, for example, the cost 1000, 1000, 1000, 1000. Here for the date placement service, I will keep the same 2. I will put this, and I can came here, change it to 3, and this 3. I think I added 5, right? Yes. So I can take it. I think it's missed, so I can take it, copy. So I will keep 3 in the same. Oops. Okay, no problem. Control C, Control V. So this first of all I can delete it. So I can take the same and keep it here. So here everything. Here also you can attach the asset group. I think there is one field here to attach the asset group to the asset member. Group asset number, you can attach it through spreadsheets. Also the other way, you can navigate to the asset inquiry and attach it there. I think it's finished, but you have to attach the depreciation expense. Also just come back to here and check the account expense. For try to upload, just submit to check the status. Okay, it's like you adding assets through spreadsheet, or either opening balance, you assets, whatever. There is nothing I did, only the new, which is you can attach is a group asset member, else you can do it from user interface. Just again come back and check the status. I think monitor process, check and run post mass additions. Post is wrong, and the same way try to run and select proper book, submit, check the status, error, null, whatever. After that we will go to assign the asset member to the asset group, and we will after that run depreciation and all of this. Before of that, just I need to check that it's already added succeeded without any issues. After that I can run create accounting to reflect the additions journals. After that I can go to assign. As you see here, 1 2 3 4 5, it's adding without any issues. In case of you face any issues, you have to download the log file and check the error and try to download the file from scratch, update it, and try and try and try. Now in case of I navigate to the assets workbench, assets inquiry, first of thing, how to assign the asset group to the asset member. Okay, let me take one of them, this one. Here just search in assets inquiry, you will find everything is okay. Now I can come back to assets, adjust asset, and again asset member, and search. Here actions, you will find change group assets. So from here, either change the group of assets which is you assigned before, or attach a new one. So change, and here group asset number from our previous one, I can take this one. So I will select it here, check, it's assigned, just submit. System will run one process to check everything is matching the categories, date, place in service, all of these things. If it's okay, you will find it's succeeded. Just go to monitor process and selected. Here post online is succeeded. If you come back again to the same assets, either asset inquiry, just path the same, no, this not asset to this member, either this or this. So I will path the asset member number. If you go to down, you will find what? Group asset member. In case of you need to change it from group to group, again go to assets, adjust assets, and change it. Here again select the asset member, and here change group of assets. Here the current what? This one. When you add a new one, it will change this. Okay, what about the other one? So the other one is 43 sorry. So I will take and I can come back and assign to our also 38. Search. Okay, done. I have to come here and change as in group and 38, and I will put it here. Still there is no group of assets number. Again submit. System will make one scheduled process to check everything is okay or not. It's completed, succeeded. So now if you remember that this is our group of assets, the date place in service is 5.5. What about the other asset member? That asset 3 is also 5.5. Here 5.5 24. Here the asset member 5.5 23. So I will try assign this to this. So 3 to 3. Okay, so I will come back again to our output. This is our group of assets 3 and this is our member 3. I will take it copy and I will navigate to again asset, just asset, search by asset number. Here change group of assets. Here in August, let me path this is open period, no problem. So I will path the third one, which is 40. So here and submit. After I submit, done, I can go to monitor process to change the status. Post error. Why? Because the date place in service of the asset member is superior to the DPIS of the asset group. Also, if the category is changed, it will give you an error. Let me check the error log. Is there any error log formative or not? Just download, open here. Yes, date place in service that is on or after asset group date place in service. Areas date allowed is this one. This is what? This is the date place in service of the asset group. Okay, so now everything is okay. In case of you now I will do what? I will create accounting and I will run depreciation. Okay, create accounting of assets module. And assets ledger, your ledger which is assigned to your asset book until either August or today, no problem. March. Okay, final summary, you can check detail and yes, submit. Okay, check the status. Running. There are some sub processes which is related to our create accounting, exceptions, post, import, whatever. This depends on your parameters, which is transfer to GL, post in GL, blah blah blah. Once it's succeeded, so we can navigate to the hour. It's warning. Maybe the period is not opened. Let me check. Anyway, let me just try to run depreciation. So now if I navigate to the asset inquiry, just take one of our asset group, just enter, search. Here, this is the assets group. You see here that the assets group is 2000. Cost history. You adding one, then adding another one, which is you adding two assets with 2000. Transactions. Group assets adjustments, because once you adding a grouping of assets members, it's like group adjustment. So before 1000, so you add another one is 2000. So let me go to this is asset group 1. Let me run depreciation. Assets, this 5, so I will run without closing. Depreciation is running. Just monitor process to check again the status. Succeeded. So just first of thing, navigate to the assets, one of our asset member, this one, this asset member. So I will put it here, search depreciation or net book value, this one, year to date, this one. So in case of you navigate to the asset group 1, which is related to this asset member, search, you will find the year to date is both 2. This divided by 2 of assets, it will be the other one, which is 1 blah blah blah. So this is why, because we tracking method is member assets, and we also select sum of depreciation amount of member to the group of assets. Again, if you come here and select the 42 is 116. So I can take this copy, so and come back here to 38, which is our group assets, here this one. So in case of you select any cell and put it here, and you sell this divided by 2 equal to 3270. This is what? This is calculation or summation of asset member depreciation amount to the group of assets. What else you can do? Later you can retirement the asset member, you can transfer the same way you have to change from this group to this group, whatever. And also you can run some of reports which is related to the assets group. Just come here to search by assets group. I don't remember the just try to assets to search group assets detail, and I think group assets summary listing. Just select this and check. Okay, and select the proper parameters, currency, physical year and so on. Just OK and try to check the group. After that we can change asset group to check the reflect. Succeeded. Just check the output and you will find like open folder, what is this, group asset details. You will find the assets and asset group, asset member, and so all of this. So here depreciation and ending, this is our assets group and this is which we assigned to this asset group. Now in case of you need to change the assets, again you can come back and change as I showed you before. Let's navigate to our presentation. This is how to add, how to set up and all of this. It is necessary to know how to calculate depreciation reserve for a block of assets. When one retired an assets in a block, there should not be any gain or loss calculation. Proceed of sale has to be adjusted against the NB value of the block. Whenever member assets is retired, Fusion creates value accounting entries to provide the effect that the calculation basis of the group assets is NBV minus proceed of sale. You will find that credit assets cost of member assets cost retired amount, debit depreciation reserve member assets cost retired amount, credit depreciation reserve of sales proceed of sale amount, debit proceed of sale clearing account, which is sales proceeds amount. Depreciation reserve is calculated as current year depreciation plus proceed of sales minus cost retired. Instead of just adjusting proceed of sale, Fusion assets reduce cost also but increase depreciation to offset the effect of NBV, net book of value. This is the way of calculation is realized to meet block depreciation requirements. What about parent and child? Parent and child track assets is a simpler model and identify as a group with the parent assets of tracking reporting purposes. STL depreciation as a straight line depreciation calculation will exist individually for each asset. Depreciation expense calculation is more simple to track compared to the group assets depreciation calculation. Child assets are assigned unique tag number, serial number, and warranty information. How to link child to assets? There are two solutions that for the child assets will be created. You can link parent during creation or this parent field that you can populate parent assets. For existing child, either through UI, just update descriptive details. For example, navigate to the fixed assets. You will find here update descriptive details. After that, select the asset member, whatever you want, and for example this, change descriptive details. You will find what? Parent assets. This is the way, okay? The other way is through FBDI template. You will find descriptive also details. You will find if a descriptive details in the worksheet, you have to pass it through that. Is it possible to associate group asset and the parent asset to the same assets? Yes. For example, if you has asset group this one, parent this one, tied to the above group of assets, child this one. Is it possible to assign this child to this parent and the group? Yes, it's possible to associate group and the parent asset to the same child or member assets. The system will allow this. For example, if I come back here and select off one of our asset member, which is, go to down 38, this one, and the change, it's already assigned to asset group, right? This is asset number, I think this is asset group. Okay, cancel. Our asset member is 42, I think, and 43, and this one, right? Change the descriptive, you will find it's already assigned to asset group, so you can assign to any asset parent. Try to save, for example. It will save and close. There is no issues to assign the same assets, child assets, to the parent and the group. The bugs again is flag is sum. We talked about this before. It's grayed out in UI, so the only way is ADFDI spreadsheet. Transfer assets member between assets and group. You cannot reclassify group between different tracking method. Either different tracking method, either did place in service, either different category. You cannot transfer asset member from asset group to the assets group until all of the options or all of the fields of this assets group equal all of the fields of the other asset group. Thanks for watching. Good luck. This is an overview with practice about group of assets, parent, child, individual, member. Keep in your mind to check these fields during definitions. Tracking the depreciation, summation, recognize, terminal, all of this is very, very, very important of your depreciation. Thanks for watching.